All right. Thanks so much for joining us here on Atlanta News First Plus. Just want to let you know you are looking live here as we are expecting a press conference to begin really at any moment now. And this is announcing a federal grant being awarded to MARTA. So, this is a live shot at the Oakland City Station on Lee Street in Atlanta. And we're expecting this announcement to be made really at any moment now by the acting administrator of the Federal Transit Administration, Veronica Vanterpool, and also the MARTA CEO and general manager, Collie Greenwood. Kind of getting the microphone there ready. But we're expecting this announcement to begin at any moment now. And the gist here is that the FTA, the Federal Transit Administration, is awarding a grant to MARTA today. And the point of this is really to advance MARTA's efforts to provide faster and more efficient transit and also boost some economic development in historically underserved communities as well. The timing, it must be noted here. Let me bring up the sound.
Here. Of course, we're joined by a number of folks that have made this a success, both those behind the scenes and those for whom we're doing it, because if the community wasn't out here in full force supporting us and demonstrating the need and the support for what we do, then we would definitely run out of steam to do these things. But not the case. Here in Atlanta, here at MARTA, we've got a strong community of people that are transit advocates and very deserving of our very best efforts. So I'm really pleased to recognize some of the folks that are here with us making that effort happen. Some of the MARTA board members are with us, and too numerous to name, but MARTA board members, if you can raise your hands. Really appreciate the leadership of the MARTA board members. If you've ever seen us in action, they ask really good questions and represent the community on from a holistic perspective. They really keep us moving in the right direction. A number of folks from the city of Atlanta are here. Some speakers. Courtney English is with us. Chuck Young is with us. And of course, we're really, really happy to have the FTA's acting administrator, Miss Veronica Vanterpool, with us here this morning. Thank you for making the trip out. They've been on they may say more about this, but they've been on a whirlwind tour of late, Seattle and Las Vegas, and now they're here and then on to the next. So we really appreciate you taking the time to make a stop here. In talking about the support that the FTA has given MARTA, it's hard to ignore the fact that they're really focused on the right thing. So they, of course, are the ones that kind of support all transit agencies across the country in terms of what we're trying to do, but they lead with perspective. I'm really, really pleased to be working with them. TOD is something that they're very supportive of, and TOD is very important to MARTA for two reasons, really. One is selfish. TOD, transit-oriented development, clearly builds transit, builds ridership. And that's good for any transit agency, especially as we face, uncertain times of where ridership is and used to be. So it's wonderful to be involved in projects that are building transit-oriented development, because when you live next to a transit facility, it's hard to ignore the obvious benefits, and that builds ridership for us. But the other important part is that transit-oriented development generates economic development and private investment. Huge factors for any community. On a micro perspective, transit-oriented development means jobs. It means people can have affordable housing and access to work on a regular basis. You think about the pressures on a household income, and it's housing and transportation. And with this kind of a combination, TOD, you get both of those under control. So we're really happy to have that. And on a more macro basis, it means attracting business. It means investments, as the investors and the business people recognize the obvious benefits to employee and customer convenience and density around transit. Something we learned while working hard building the MARTA Rapid Summer Hill line was that development opportunities and TOD doesn't really have to wait for transit to be completed. we found that when we announced the Rapid Summerhill line, development opportunities followed almost immediately, not just along the route itself, but also near the stations and terminus points that it connects to. In fact, through MARTA's affordable housing initiatives with Goldman Sachs, we helped secure financing for about 250 affordable units at the future Skyline Apartments, where the south terminus of the Summerhill line will terminate. Transit development spurs other development. It creates dense, amenity-rich communities with affordable housing that in turn feeds back into the transit system. So the TOD master plan that we developed for Campbellton Corridor envisions just that. It's density, it's equitable development, and it'll enrich and enhance the communities through the corridor and support the future rapid Campbellton transit line. So this grant award will allow us to continue our TOD study, studying this corridor for further evidence of the importance of TOD and MARTA's place as a national TOD leader. Just as a way to remind you, we've had great success with TOD at Edgewood Candler Park, King Memorial, Avondale. We broke ground on TOD at Kensington last fall, and just on Saturday, we presented the TOD Grand Plan for Indian Creek to the community. Well received, well deserved. Work is underway at HE Homes and Bankhead rail stations, and TOD studies are planned for future MARTA rapid lines in Clayton County and Clifton Corridor. So again, where there's transit, there's development, and where there's development, let there be transit, creating equitable and accessible housing opportunities and amenities for people. So thank you again to the FTA. And before I turn it over to Chuck Young, I want to tell you a little bit about Chuck. He is the Executive VP of Prestwick Development Company. They developed the Gateway Capital View project, and another example, perfect example, of TOD. So Chuck, maybe you can come and talk to us about the benefits and what the community can expect.
Morning, everyone. Morning. Chuck Young, Executive Vice President and Partner at Prestwick Development Company. Behind us here is our Gateway Capital View project. Next to that is 1055 Arden, another one of our sites we developed. That just opened last month. Over 220 affordable housing units right here at the Oakland City MARTA station. We actually have 5 developments we've done at MARTA stations, 2 phases of senior housing at the aforementioned Indian Creek MARTA station, 2 here, another one on the west side. It's really important to us that we search out these sites, improving mobility for seniors or allowing them to continue that mobility in the neighborhoods they already live in. As neighborhoods change, as families move in, as growth happens, you want to be able to have places for the seniors and these kind of legacy residents that have been in these communities forever. More housing options for them, and we feel great that we're able to do that. This one in particular is near and dear to my heart because so you have Capitol View neighborhood here, you have Sylvan Hills neighborhood adjacently to the south. I lived in Sylvan Hills. My wife and I would start our family there. I'd walk by the site for a few years on the way to the MARTA station thinking what a great opportunity to do some housing for the community. I got to know a lot of seniors in our community, saw the benefits of being close to MARTA and some of their housing challenges. So fast forward years later, very fortunate to be able to help bring this to the community. I'm very proud of this one. None of these would happen without the public partners. I mean, real estate's more expensive than ever, construction, financing, et cetera. So on this, you had MARTA put significant investment into the station here to make sure it was up and operating when we were open. City of Atlanta, Invest Atlanta, Atlanta Housing provided rental vouchers to make sure that we can get deeper affordability on some of these units. Atlanta Beltline provided grants. ANDP was a nonprofit partner, which brought multiple benefits and expertise to that project. Atlanta Beltline, dollars put in this, so it takes a village, and really appreciative of the city and by extension all the different groups I named. So very excited to do this, do more of this in the future. It's really important. So thank you. We appreciate everyone letting us have our development here as the backdrop of this important announcement. So thanks and enjoy the rest of the program.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Good deal. My name is Courtney English. I'm the Chief Policy Officer for the City of Atlanta and Senior Advisor to Atlanta Mayor Andre Dickens. It's certainly a pleasure to be with each of you this morning. This incredible team from MARTA under Kylie's leadership. Of course, our FTA administrator, our friends from Presswood. What the mayor would say is today is representative of the group project. Atlanta is indeed a group project where you see various government agencies coming together, working together to benefit our neighbors. I see my friend Corliss Clare, one of our community leaders here. Raise your hand. Yes, we all work for her, if anyone is confused. She said to me before this program started that Campbellton Road was too big to fail. And it is a central corridor in the city of Atlanta. I grew up 1 minute in that direction in the Oakland City neighborhood, and so for me, this is certainly a homecoming as well. What Campbellton Road, I'll just say two seconds on this front. What Campbellton Road, this major corridor, represents for this mayor in this city is an opportunity to breathe new life into communities that for too long have gone underinvested. It's an opportunity to bring affordable housing, to connect that affordable housing to transit that generates the lifeblood of the city, to attract new amenities. It's good for business, it's good for people, it's good for green space, and of course it's good for our efforts to bring whole, healthy communities to every single neighborhood throughout this city. Every single resident who calls this city home should be proud of their neighborhood. They should be able to walk to a transit station. They should be able to walk out of their house and connect to a grocery store. They should be able to connect to job centers. And projects like this make that all the more real, all the more faster for neighborhoods and neighbors throughout this city. So on behalf of our 61st mayor, thank you so much for everybody who had a hand in bringing this incredible work to bear. Get your hard hats and your shovels ready because there's more to come. Thank you so much. God bless.
Good morning, everyone. I want to start by extending our condolences on behalf of the Federal Transit Administration to the MARTA family. We learned this morning that a bus operator who's been with the MARTA family for 20 years actually died while serving in the community just this morning. And we know that transit families are tight, so we want to start by acknowledging his loss, the loss to his family, and of course the loss to the MARTA family. Secondly, a week ago today there was a tragedy in Baltimore, Maryland. And it seems a little bit like a lifetime ago, but it was actually just 8 days ago. And we want to thank you for your thoughts and the attention as we continue to rebuild in that region. And I think one important takeaway is that investment in infrastructure is incredibly important, and investment in transit is incredibly important. It isn't just how we connect to one another, it's how we connect to jobs. It's important for our economy. And we know that transit investment is an important contributor to economic livelihoods and people's day-to-day. In fact, I was just talking with this lovely young woman over here who was telling me she's been with the MARTA family for 8 years. And she was listing to me all the different roles that she's had. So I want to impress to you all that this investment is incredibly important, whether it's investment in bridges, whether it's investment in a corridor, and certainly whether it's investments in our buses and our rail, and ferries and vans across the United States. So I want to thank the local officials who are here. You are all important partners. The federal government is just one partner when it comes to this investment in our communities. And we need the partnership of local and county and state elected officials. So I want to thank Mayor Dinkins and certainly Courtney English for joining us today, because the city is an important partner for MARTA. I certainly want to thank MARTA CEO Collie Greenwood and his team. We work very well with our transit recipients and our transit agencies. We look to them to set a vision in their communities, and Collie and his team have certainly done that. And I want to thank the MARTA board chair and the board members who are here. You all execute that vision, and you help support that vision. And sometimes you help build support within the communities you represent for that vision. So thank you for being here to kick off this very momentous and exciting moment for us here. I also want to thank our regional team here led by our Deputy Regional Administrator, Dudley White, and his team. We have 4 members from the Federal Transit Administration Region 4 office here. They're based in Atlanta, and they're really the ones that work with our transit agencies in the region, providing local technical assistance and local knowledge and making sure that federal requirements are met, but really just serving as allies in this work. In federal government, we want to give you the money. We want to make sure that your projects are great, and our regional team is really responsible for that. So looking forward, on behalf of Secretary Pete Buttigieg, I'm pleased to announce how we are working together to support communities' efforts to promote transit-oriented development. TOD helps people access opportunities, and it's an economic driver for communities. And by getting people out of their cars, we are helping improve air quality and emitting fewer greenhouse gas emissions that contribute to climate change. So you may know that the transportation sector contributes 27% of greenhouse gas emissions, but in transit, we're a small sliver of that percentage. We're about less than 1%. So every day that we are using public transit and investing in public transit, we are meeting climate mitigation goals, and we should all be incredibly proud of that. Under the Biden-Harris administration, we're working with communities to better address road safety, equity, climate change, and affordable housing, intertwined with major transit investments. That's why today, we are here to announce that MARTA has been selected to receive a $750,000 transit-oriented development planning grant, which provides funding to help communities plan for ways to integrate land use and housing with transit projects. So Kali made reference to this, but this is actually our 3rd city. We are on a 3-city tour. We're going back to DC shortly after this, but we started in Seattle on Friday. Then we went to Las Vegas, and now we're here in Atlanta. And we had all these wonderful announcements to make, where we were ribbon cutting a bus rapid transit project in Seattle, where yesterday we were presenting a check for a new bus rapid transit project in Las Vegas. And here we are in Atlanta to celebrate this wonderful vision for affordable housing. And we chose Atlanta and MARTA for a reason, because we've seen the ROI on investment, not just the investment made by the city, but the investment made by the federal transit government. We love to invest in things that yield returns. We like success. We want to ensure that the investments that we're making are generating success. This is one of the reasons we chose to celebrate with MARTA. So MARTA intends to use this funding to enhance economic and community development along the corridor where we're standing today. The agency plans a 6-mile bus rapid transit line along Campbellton Road from Oakland City Station to the Barge Road Park and Ride. And already you can catch a glimpse of what is to come. Some transit-oriented development behind us. I am told it is affordable senior housing. And in fact, we heard Chuck mention that in his remarks from Pressworth Development. And it's important to note that the partnership with the private sector and developers is incredibly important to getting these projects off the ground. So this affordable senior housing is a terrific use of land near a transit station. And in fact, Federal Transit Administration, we rode the train here this morning from our hotel. I mean, FTA is on brand. FTA is on brand. And I was able to see all the existing investments and all the opportunity that exists, right? So it's wonderful for us to be able to be on this train on the MARTA system and see firsthand what's been done and what's ahead to be done. So in Southwest Atlanta, 14% of residents are 65 and over. Per capita income for that group lags behind the rest of the city, about 20% less than Atlanta as a whole. And along the BRT corridor, about 25% of residents lack access to a car. Think about that. 1 in 4 individuals does not have access to a vehicle. And 15% of that group are seniors who have mobility issues. So investment in transit is incredibly important to the day-to-day lives of these individuals. And coupled with that is making sure that the infrastructure that it surrounds our transit investments are able and accessible for people to walk, ride, scoot, roll in order to access that mobility. And that's another reason why this BRT line is important and good planning is important. So older adults can choose to take the bus rapid transit to the Gren Greer Mall and Adams Recreation Center. And with connections to this MARTA station and the Atlanta Beltline, they can travel pretty much anywhere throughout the city, including Hartsfield-Jackson Airport. So the BRT line will have 9 stations compared to 40 bus stops on the local line. So 9 versus 40. Think about the time savings and the difference that makes. It's a much quicker ride. So I greatly appreciate that MARTA and the City of Atlanta are working together to bring more housing, particularly affordable housing and other development to the corridor. And I understand that there's a proposal by the mayor for 20,000 additional affordable housing units by 2030. That's just 6 years away. To better integrate land use with transportation, MARTA created the Campbellton Corridor Master Plan in 2023 to access each station area for transit-oriented development, bike and pedestrian infrastructure, and redevelopment strategies. And again, we know that when we make this investment in the infrastructure around, we're also making it safe for people to walk and bike and scoot and roll, because pedestrian fatalities and injuries are on the rise in this country, and we need to do everything that we can to mitigate that. So I appreciate that MARTA has identified several areas of focus for this community: food insecurity, affordable housing, safe routes to transit, economic development, and small and minority-owned business retention. Since 2021, FTA and the U.S. Department of Transportation have supported MARTA with about $750 million in investment. $750 million. And that's $20 million to support buying electric buses, right? Cleaner buses that are rolling through our communities. A $12.6 million grant to support the creation of the Summerhill BRT line. Grants supporting the Brookhaven Station rehabilitation, the Stonecrest Transit Hub, 3 safe routes to transit projects, and just in the last few weeks, $207 million from the Department of Transportation's new Reconnecting Communities program to support the Stitch. I love the Stitch project. I've been hearing about the Stitch project for many years. I'm very, very impressed with this. I mentioned these investments to provide some context. We have been and will continue to support transit improvement projects in Atlanta and communities throughout the country. So today, we're announcing this grant of $750,000 to MARTA, but it's actually an announcement for 20 projects in 16 states that are receiving a share of $17.6 million in funding through Federal Transit Administration's pilot program for transit-oriented development planning. These grantees will use our federal support to plan for TOD with input from stakeholders. And I love when advocates from the community are shouted out, because my background is in advocacy. I come from the transit advocacy side, and I know transit advocates are incredibly important. Now, everyone can be a transit advocate, whether you're an elected official, a CEO of a transit agency, but community members are some of the most important transit advocates. So shout out to you all who are here. And as part of our planning program, we advance and promote equity. So for these proposals and future TOD planning grants, we expect successful grants applications to include strategies to integrate affordable housing. And I just want to shout out something very different about this round of transit-oriented development grants. We have done this grant program for several years, but when we issued our notice of funding opportunities last year, we said those applicants that successfully address affordable housing with some key measures, and we identified 5 different measures in the NOFO. We said you would be eligible to receive 100% federal funding, and that's a difference. This grant program provides an 80-20, 80% federal funding, 20% local match. But MARTA will receive 100% federal funding, as will the other 19 recipients of this grant, because they are really prioritizing affordable housing. Definitely worth celebrating. So as I wrap up, I just want to note that these are planning grants. They're not grants for construction. So they may seem a little smaller by federal transportation grant standards, but they still provide tremendous opportunity for agencies to leverage federal funds in their communities. So without further ado, I want to thank MARTA for its foresight. I want to thank you as the community for supporting this vision. But it's going to take you to continue to advance this vision, right? Because planning is only as good as the execution and then the construction, right? So with that, I am very excited to present this check to the MARTA family and to Holly Greenwood and his team.
On three, say money. Well said.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. I don't know who's responsible for lugging this back.
We actually have time for a few questions if some of the media want to ask. Any questions? Oh.
Yeah, I'm Joel Dixon, current resident of the area. Sorry, I'm Joel Dixon, former resident, current resident of the area, Southwest Atlanta. Very excited, been an avid rider of MARTA down this corridor. My father actually worked at Greenbrier Mall for many years. I'm so very excited to see the progress that's happening. One thing I wanted to just ask is, do you all foresee connectedness with the BRT to the Beltline Spur Trail, which is about 150, 200 feet from here at the following corner?
Are you saying, do we anticipate the Campbellton Road corridor connecting directly with BRT? I believe, Carrie, maybe you can speak to this better, but it's not going to be a direct connection. There will be some distance to walk to actually access the Beltline, but I feel more importantly is that it gets people into the vicinity, and it reaches further into the community than we ever have before, and in an ability to bring people to the vicinity. And while we can't be all things to all people, we're definitely trying to get people to the Beltline. But the Beltline is one a community destination, but there are so many others that our fabric of BRT is designed to do. And thank you for being an avid rider. And while I have the mic, I just wanted to, I was remiss in not thanking the stations team. Tamara's here, she's in bright yellow, and her stations team, if you've taken an opportunity to, yeah, sure, give it up. The stations are just cleaner and brighter and more managed than ever before, and I'm really grateful for that. Atlanta 69.
So, just as a general question, with the grants that you guys have from the federal government that you guys are providing to MARTA, how is that going to actually look for riders in the short term? What are they actually going to be able to see?
So Acting Administrator Benapole was able to say to us that this is really for studying, right? So the money that we're presented with today enables us to do things like put bright minds together, taking a look at what the existing pain points are in a community or along a corridor, and get it right. So it's one thing to just go out and construct, but if you don't construct for the community and with the community, then you're doing it to the community, and that's not the place that MARTA wants to be in. So this allows us to study, engage, get all the details that we want, so that when we do go ahead and put shovels in the ground, we're doing something that is going to benefit the community. So it's not overnight, but I can promise you this, that when it's done, it's something that everyone's looking forward to.
All right, thank you. You
Thank
can
you.
ask any other questions off to the side.
Holly? Yeah. Yeah. Come.